The following is a production of 4-Star Sports Media.
Are you hungry? It's time to sit down and get full of sports on the Sports Buffet presented by 4-Star Sports Media with your host, Wes Pruitt.
What's going on, everybody? Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. You were inside. You were sitting down at the Sports Buffet. It is Thursday, July 25th, 2024. I got John started over there, wherever he is, over there in the house. As always, thank you to everybody watching and listening. We are broadcasting live on, let's see, Facebook, YouTube, and X. So thank you to everybody watching and listening. Got a jam-packed show today. Normally we go a little crazy on Friday. I decided to get a little wild on a Wednesday. So we're going to talk a little bit of WWE to start out. Got a very important, one of the big four pay-per-views. Not pay-per-view, premium live event from the WWE coming up very soon. But John, let's go ahead and get started, man. First off, Johnny boy, how are you, man?
One more day closer to the weekend, my friend.
There it is, buddy. There it is. By the way, speaking of the weekend, if anybody needs tickets for anything coming up this weekend, next weekend, 16 weekends away, doesn't matter at all. Go to SeatGeek.com when you do, or you can download the mobile app on your Google or Android or Apple devices. But when you do, download that app, create your little login, write the password down so we don't forget it, and then go find you any ticket, $50 or more. That's $50 or more. And when you do, type in 4-Star Sports Media, that code right down there at the bottom of the screen. And when you do, it'll save you $20 on your first ticket purchase. If you don't believe us, go type it in. I promise you it works. But you got college football season, which we're going to get into here shortly, coming up. And you got all sports coming up. Plus, there's concerts. Plus, there's other stuff on there, too. There's like plays and stuff on there. So you can really, any type of ticket that you're needing, head over to SeatGeek now, and they will get you taken care of. And as always, we appreciate you supporting us here at 4-Star Sports Media. John, let's go to the burning question of the show. And that is, what Power 5 conference is the most underrated in 2024?
I'll go with the Big 12.
Ooh.
From top to bottom, I think it's going to be a little bit better than people think. Not only for future sports down the road, but this atmospheres are, a lot of people are going to be like, okay, the atmospheres are going to be up to par as well, I think. And ever since, I know people will be like, why am I saying atmospheres? I think it's because you don't see a Deion Sanders from Colorado going to UCF very often. You don't see a Kansas basketball team play a home and home with an Arizona and Arizona State and all of them for basketball. So the atmosphere for college basketball and college football are going to be top notch. And that's one reason that a lot of people are not giving the Big 12 enough credit regarding this.
Yeah, and I mean, I phrased the question the way I did on purpose because in reality, it's about more than just football, baseball, basketball, right? We already know this. I mean, baseball, you look at some of these, you look at a lot of these conferences. I mean, the ACC, the SEC just won a national championship. The ACC had teams right there in it. Big 12 as well. So you look at, I mean, college softball as well. I mean, I saw a girl at Texas Tech sign a $1 million NIL deal. It's been reported for college softball. So congratulations to her, and congratulations to the sport of college football or softball. I'm sorry. It's good to see these sports take the steps that football is taking, for example, and basketball as well. Man, I got to go with the Pac-2. I think they're going to be really underrated. There's only 2 teams in the conference. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but nobody is thinking anything about those 2 teams out there. Poor Oregon State and poor Washington State. I'm excited to see what they do. I have no idea what their schedule. I haven't looked at their schedules or anything like that. But I think it's really cool, man. You're in the 2-pack, you know.
I mean, they are playing Mountain West teams, so at least you get to experience a Boise State blue turf game as a Mountain West or as a Pac-2 member, like Washington State traveling to Boise in the near future. At least you get to experience the blue turf, which is pretty cool still. So,
well, and then you add in teams like UNLV, San Diego State, and others that they get a chance to go up and play in Pullman and play at Washington State. You know, they get a chance to go play at Oregon State in Corvallis. So it's going to be – is that Corvallis? Yeah, Corvallis. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. All right, John, we're on the underrated, overrated thing today. I don't know really what's going on there, but who is the most – this is poll question number 1 for the day, and I'll get these poll questions out on social media as quick as the show ends. But poll question number 1, who is the most underrated coach in college football? Underrated. Not overrated. That's coming up next. But underrated. Who is the most underrated coach in college football? And I am actually going to answer these too. I want John to give an answer, and I want to answer this too.
You just want to see how I do it first. But
yeah, exactly.
No, for real. The Canada girl from Stanford is the one that you brought up regarding that Texas Tech. She ended up leaving Stanford to go to Texas Tech. So, heck, she's going to do well for the Big 12.
No doubt.
Underrated coach. Shoot. We're going to get my Phil Steele magazine. Hang on one second, people.
Shout out Phil Steele, by the way. Big time proponent of Phil Steele, his magazine, and all of his work. Have had numerous conversations with Phil off air, and in social media passings and things like that. And Phil's a great guy, great knowledge, obviously great knowledge. And I mean, think about it, John. He's been doing that magazine for 30 years or something. I mean, it's been like 30 years.
All right. So, I won't go with one on top of my head now. Yeah. Remembering his name and watching his press conference the last couple of days, off and on, not catching up on all these crazy media days that's been happening the whole week. We got to catch 24 hours of no sleep on. I'm going to go with Alex Gross from South Florida. A lot of people really don't give him enough credit yet, and I think it's going to be a challenge for him still, just to get him, being a head coach that's brand new in the AAC. Whatnot, but he turned South Florida around completely last year. It felt like a 3-win team at one point to a 17. I think South Florida's going to be dangerous than people think, especially when they played their games at Raymond James Stadium, still at South Florida, which they're getting their on-campus stadium in a couple of years. And if you get that on-campus stadium in a couple of years, Alex Gross is going to basically recruit like crazy over down in Tampa area and get all these players to play on campus stadium. But Alex Gross, I think, is going to be turning that South Florida team around. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that is a trap game for the Memphis Tigers going down to South Florida this year. So, Alex Gross is my underrated coach.
100%. It's a trap game for the Tigers. It's a trap game for Alabama. It's a trap game for Texas. I mean, Alex said in his American Athletic Conference media day the other day, somebody asked him, said, hey, what about Texas? What about you guys playing Texas and Alabama? And he's like, no. Texas and Alabama has to play South Florida.
I think it's Miami that you're referring to, by the way.
Yeah, Miami. But just the way that he owns it, and he wants his team to own it. They got to come play us. It's not that we're going to play them. They got to battle us. I agree 100% with that. 100%. Man, I got a couple. So Tom Herman, it's a guy that kind of forgotten about. He's down at FAU, second year at FAU, as well as Alex Golish's second year at South Florida. Tom Herman, man, he fires me up every time I listen to that guy talk. He gets me excited. In press conference style, he doesn't do anything to really wow you with what he says. But then when you really sit back and really take in what he says, he's giving you valuable knowledge the entire couple of calls. And I'm staying in the American a little bit. I think Trent Dilfer is a very underrated coach. I know. In second year of ever being a college coach, the way he demands respect from the media when he walks into a room. He's very, very acknowledging of the media and how hard they work. He's very, you know what I mean? Like he's very nice to people, which is something you really always see in coaches. But he tells it like it is, and that's why I think he's going to be a guy that's going to move up in the college ranks. I really do. I don't know that he'll stay at UAB obviously forever. He loves Birmingham. I'm not saying anything about that, but and he could very well turn UAB around. Think about it. Bill Clark had that team rolling before they had to shut it down. And now it's taken this much to get them back to where they are. UAB is another team that you may want to keep your eye on in 2024 in the American too. All right, John, who is the most overrated coach in college football?
Does it basically be by like some type of success, or is it basically some type of basically regarding their win-loss total last couple of years, or what's the overrated part of it?
I mean, both really. I mean, you know, you could use either one of those or both, honestly.
Okay, can I go with two of them?
Sure.
I'm going with Billy. My first one will be Billy Napier from Florida. People are still not happy down there in Gainesville. I know, like we talked about with Ben Chase, a lot of people are thinking that this is the year that they could have a 9 to 10 win or even 8-game win schedule again. But dude, that I still can't get over how tough that schedule actually is. Yeah. You play Miami at home, yeah. You play UCF at home, yeah. But your SEC schedule toward the end of the year is just so brutal. And we had talked about this numerous times. Like, he did so well at Louisiana, Lafayette, Cajun country down there with a high-powered offense. But the high-powered offense has not transitioned over to Florida. Unless you play Tennessee last year, which that game was kind of like, that was the worst game of Heupel's coaching career, basically.
Yeah.
So you can throw that out. And then I really thought Clark Lee would have impressed me at Vanderbilt. He hasn't really impressed me at all. So maybe that is, you know, if somebody does want to hire Trent Dilfer in the SEC, that's where Trent Dilfer can land at Vanderbilt down the road. But Clark Lee, I thought, was going to be a decent hire at first because he's a defensive mind. And I'm hoping Vanderbilt is back to the old Jay Cutler days. Don't get me wrong with Derek Mason, you know, coaching the helm and everything like that. But Clark Lee winning 3 or 4 games at Vanderbilt, I know it's the SEC, but you shouldn't be struggling these non-conference games, you know, in years past like you have been as well. So Clark Lee, that's my 50-50 on Clark Lee. That's one reason I'm bringing up 2 of them on top of my head.
Yeah, when you look at Clark Lee, and I've talked about him last week before, you know, he made a big change this year. You just talked about it, him being a defensive guy. He made a big change. He's now mainly concentrating on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's going to affect Vanderbilt in a positive way. You look at what he did at Notre Dame. That's where he really made his name for a really strong defensive coach. And we talked about it recently too, John. He brings in Jerry Kill. He brings in some other guys on the other side of the ball that have been head coaches that have understand the role. And that then the good thing about Clark is he's very similar to some other coaches. He just lets his guys go do what they do. He doesn't really, nitpick and intermingle. But I think Vanderbilt could be a little bit of a surprise this year. I say that as far as like, I think they could win 3 games. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to make a bowl game. Man, I got to start with Scott Satterfield, and that's going to make some App State fans mad. It's going to make probably some Louisville fans mad, and it's going to make some Cincinnati fans mad now. But I don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me that Cincinnati was rolling. Luke Fickell had that team going. They were rolling, right? And then he runs, he goes, I say runs, he didn't run off. I mean, he went to Wisconsin. Nice gig, right? Big Ten, Ron Dane, Barry Alvarez, history. I can't think of a whole lot of history with the University of Cincinnati football. And I don't mean that in a negative connotation. I mean, I'm just saying like they had the Kelsey brothers, Desmond Ritter, Nippert Stadium. What the heck is a Bearcat? That sign from when I was like 12 years old in Nippert Stadium, when that guy holds a sign up and says, "What the heck is a Bearcat?" I'll never forget that sign in my entire life. It's one of my funniest moments ever. Because I still don't know what a Bearcat is, but I know what their mascot looks like. It's not what I visualize as a Bearcat, but I think Scott Satterfield's overrated. That's my opinion. He could think I'm overrated. That's fine, but I just don't get the hype, man. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't understand it. The way I look at Scott Satterfield is how I looked at Josh Heupel for a long time, and that has slowly started to morph the other way with Josh Heupel. And then the other one, and this is gonna probably surprise some people, but it's Ryan Day. That man, he walked into a gold mine. I mean, come on, let's really be honest here, people. You give Ryan Day Kennesaw State and tell me how good of a coach he is. You give Ryan Day Maryland and you tell me how good of a coach he is. You give Ryan Day Purdue, tell me how good of a coach he is. Any of those teams I just mentioned, if you give that head coach Ohio State, guess what? They're going to win ball games. I don't see the hype in Ryan Day. I kind of applaud Jim Harbaugh. And I know that sounds crazy, but I applaud Jim Harbaugh for calling him out. I do. There's a lot of confidence there. And yeah, they beat Michigan for a while, but I mean, what did you do to make Ohio State so great? You came in behind who do you follow, John? You're on mute, buddy.
Was it Urban Meyer, I believe?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
And Urban Meyer was coming off national championship after national championship after national. Appearance. I don't get the hype with Ryan Day. But those are the two poll questions of the day. We'll get them up on the socials. Go ahead.
I know what you're saying with Ryan Day. I think I'm not going to name the player, but he's elsewhere right now. But you use a player pretty well in 2022, and I could see where you're coming from with Ryan Day because you used a good player that was basically talented for you in 2022, and in 2023 he barely saw the field. I know there's other running
Players at that position.
At that position.
Yeah, I got you.
Other players at that position that might have been better at him at times, but you just don't, you just don't get away from that gave you all that success in 2022.
But he brought in Quinshon Judkins to fill the role, so it's okay. Right?
Yeah, so it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't
I don't know, man. I just and I don't mean that in any disrespect. I just personally, me watching Ohio State, I see a coach that inherited a incredibly talented program and is just riding, in my opinion, he's riding the coattails off the history.
Well, I'm saying that because he did not play a single touch at all in that Missouri game last year, in that bowl game that they played in. So when you got Missouri holding you to 3 points on offense, was it? So, yeah. Plus, you haven't beat Michigan in 5,000 years or whatever.
I mean, I didn't want to say anything out loud, but here we are. All right, man. Let's jump over to the main course, and we're going to start with a WWE SummerSlam early preview. Obviously, you know I'm a big John. You're a big wrestling fan too. I still watch it every week. Been watching it every week for years.
Right.
So let's get into it, man. So we've got numerous matches that have been announced. You've got the undisputed WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. You got the World Heavyweight Championship match between Damian Priest and Gunther. I love that name, by the way. The name Gunther is just great to me. You've got the WWE Women's Championship between champion Bayley and the challenger in Nia Jax, Queen Nia Jax, by the way. And then you've got a Women's World Championship, which is one that I'm excited for. That's the champion Liv Morgan against Rhea Mami Ripley, as she is back. And then you've got the United States Championship between Logan, barely a champion, Paul versus LA Knight. Yeah. And then you've got the Intercontinental Championship match, which I think is going to be an absolute banger. No, I'm not trying to take that from Sheamus. You got champion Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker versus Ilya Dragunov. But then it's not over. You got CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Oh, and by the way, the special guest referee happens to be none other than Seth freaking Rollins. So, John, let's just get into this real quick. So, I just named off the matches. Mm-hmm. Which one of those are you looking forward to the most?
Right now, I'm going to basically do a top 3 out there because I can't decide. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, you brought up. Ripley is basically, to me, she's back. It's going to be interesting how Dom plays all this out because Dom supposedly broke up with Liv this past Monday night. Said he ended things, not in English, folks. He did it all in Spanish.
But she turned her back on him, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. But,
man, she poked that little thing out there. She's going to get herself in trouble, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so that's my number. I think it's going to be interesting how Dom actually plays this out. Yeah, you brought up Bayley versus Nia Jax because Bayley did win the title over at WrestleMania again. And I think Nia Jax has something to prove this weekend or next weekend. The Cody Rhodes versus Sikoa match, I guess, because I'm just anxious to see if Roman Reigns actually comes back at SummerSlam, which there is talks that he is going to come back. But who's he going to actually help? Like in the long haul, is he basically going to be saying Sikoa because of family, whatnot? Although I think, after what happened at WrestleMania over the last couple of months, I think he might be in favor of Cody Rhodes here, and I think he might be helping out Cody with the victory here because who isn't the tribal chief? It's Roman Reigns is the tribal chief around here. But it's going to be definitely interesting.
Yeah, that's what they say, yeah.
And then I think it's because I think Jimmy Uso comes back and helps Sikoa out. So that's one reason I think Roman Reigns could help out Cody. Cody gets the title still, and then we'll have a future Cody Rhodes versus John Cena versus Randy Orton, and then go, triple threat match down the road or something like that.
Interesting. Really looking forward to the Sami Zayn match. Just the way they've booked Braun Breaker since they didn't put him in the King of the Ring. He's been annihilating everybody. Obviously, also, I think Braun Breaker wins that match. I'm not trying to give spoilers away for next week's show when we dive into this, but I think Braun Breaker wins at SummerSlam. I think it's his time. The place is going to erupt. Also, it's in Cleveland, which I think is pretty cool. But man, the Rhea Ripley match, I'm really looking forward to. I would like to see, this is me fantasy booking, but I would like to see them let Liv win it and continue this on till WrestleMania. And I think that could very well. I don't like the hot potato of belt back and forth between people. Just leave it on one person. I think the chase for the title is much more much more fun to watch unfold. So, man, there's a lot of hatred between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. I mean, and this is not fake heat, to use a wrestling term. This is real heat. These two guys do not like each other. But then you throw in the wild card in this whole thing, and that's Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has made no bones about it on a personal level. He does not like CM Punk. The question is, does he help CM Punk? Or does he help Drew McIntyre? Or does he call it down the middle? Now, generally speaking, when they put a special guest referee in there, the odds of that person calling it down the middle is less than 50-50. I mean, I just think back to Shawn Michaels super kicking people. You know what I mean? Like as in the referee uniform. So, really looking forward to SummerSlam. It's one of the big four. It's always fun to watch and see what they do because this really gets the ball rolling for what's to come with Royal Rumble, what's to come with WrestleMania, and I mean it's July. WrestleMania did kind of just happen, but you're gonna look and we're gonna be right back at WrestleMania season. But you know, hey, WWE's kind of like us, John. They don't take breaks. We don't either. We just keep on rolling throughout the year. But yeah, man, SummerSlam is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I think you'll see some surprises. We saw a surprise in AEW when Camille popped out, formerly of WWE, formerly of NWA. She's actually Nick Aldis's wife, which I think is very kind of a unique dynamic. You got Nick Aldis over in WWE, and you got Camille over in AEW now. Very similar to Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, Malachi, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, man, looking forward to SummerSlam. Gonna be a lot of fun. I will be watching, whether that's recorded, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what my schedule is yet, but either way, I'm gonna watch it, and you'll be hearing about it on this show because we talk it all right here on the Sports Buffet, presented to you by 4-Star Sports Media Network. I'm Wes Pruitt. Got John Sturdivant over there to the right of me. We appreciate everybody watching and listening.
Awesome. Back in my hometown.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a really pretty day here in Northwest Arkansas. I know John's in Memphis. It's a pretty day here. It looks a little, it was a little cloudy. I mean, we got some rain the other day, and then you get it right after we did. And we're going to talk Arkansas towards the end of the show too. We'll dive into Arkansas and we'll call those hogs. So that'll be pretty fun too. But John, let's go ahead and jump over to our next topic, man, and that is the Major League Baseball, MLB as they call it. Yep, MLB as they call it. So let's go. Let's start with the standings. Okay, we'll start with the American League. Now, I don't want to talk about who's the worst team in the American League is because no one really wants to talk about that, right? 27 and 77 are my Chicago White Sox, currently 35 and a half games back of the Cleveland Guardians, who are 61 and 40. I'll say that again, John. 35 and a half games back. They have lost all of their last 10 games. They've only won 10 games on the road and 17 games at home. They are not too almost shabby. 20. No, not too shabby. You know, you're 23 games behind Detroit to get just not in last place. You know what though? Hey, they drafted Hagen Smith. It's obvious they're going to have another high draft pick, probably the first round draft pick overall next year. Really looking forward to see who that's going to be. Because they're just going to trade him. They're just going to get the good player. They're going to move him up to AA, and then they're going to be like, oh, yeah, you're good. Here you go. You go over here, and we'll take this player who's aging and it's going to suck, and then you're going to go over there to that team, and you're going to become an incredible baseball player, and you're going to make the Hall of Fame because that's the way the White Sox do things. But let's go ahead and dig into it, man. Give me a team that you're a little bit surprised that they're playing this well so far this season as we're right over halfway.
Seattle Mariners. I really they're only one game back in Houston with the record of that. AL West is just crazy enough. Seattle Mariners is my surprise at 53 and 51 in the West, one game back. They're winning at home when it matters most as well, and they're staying on the West Coast and they're winning their ball games on the West Coast in the Seattle area. They could be a sleeper going forward, although they've lost 3 in a row right now. But yeah, Seattle Mariners is my basically surprise right now because they're playing pretty well at times at home.
Yeah, they really are. I tell you, a team that I'm really keeping an eye on. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're currently sitting in third place in the American League Central, 56 and 47. That's the Kansas City Royals. They're 6 games back of Cleveland. They're only 1 game back now of Minnesota. But when you look at the Royals, man, 35 and 20 at home, 21 and 27 on the road. So struggling a little bit on the road. Not as bad as other teams in the American League Central that we just talked about. But they are really impressing me, as well as the Yankees. The Yankees and Orioles is going to be fun to watch. And also, don't forget about the Red Sox in this league, in this division. But the Orioles and Yankees are 4-6 in their last 10. Listen to this, though, John. They are 27 and 23 at home, but they are 33 and 21 on the road. Only a game and a half back right now at 60 and 44 of the Baltimore Orioles, who are leading, obviously 60 and 41 if they're a game and a half back. But there's not a lot of teams in the league that are really just blowing it out of the water. The Angels have won 7 out of their last 3 in the American League. And then you jump over to the National League. There's a lot of teams that I'm really enjoying watching. And I'm really enjoying watching the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. Obviously, Paul Skeens is a lot of fun to watch. He is must-see TV. But we know how bad the Pirates have been in the past. But when you look at them right now, they're sitting in third place. They're 7 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers, only a game back of St. Louis, who they lost to last night. Paul Skeens got his first loss. But 8-2 in their last 10 games, and even 26 and 26 at home and 26 and 24 on the road as they continue to play St. Louis. But that's a really interesting team. And then the other one that really surprised me was the Mets got the brooms out on the Yankees. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, you just took my team basically as my surprise right now is the Mets. I did not expect them to basically, like you said, they're 53 and 48 right now as we speak. And a half a game in that wild card spot behind the Braves. So you might see 3 teams in the playoffs regarding the AL or the NL East, and it's going to be going down to the wire. And I think the Phillies, the Braves, and then the Mets right now are the 3 teams I'm talking about. But a team that really has surprised me the most overall, though, in that National League are the Arizona Diamondbacks. Still, just the way they're competing game in, game out, and they're still beating teams like the Kansas City Royals. They beat Kansas City yesterday. So the Arizona Diamondbacks might be a team to look out for down the road because you still got to worry about that heat in Phoenix as well, which that ain't no joke.
Not at all, man. And you know, they're 53 and 50 right now, only sitting a half a game back of second place San Diego in the National League West. And to your point, man, 7-3 in the last 10, 27 and 26 on the road, and 26 and 24 at home. And they've got a good cushion between them and the Giants, who are 12 games back. So when you look at really every league or every division all the way across, the top 3 teams are kind of all fighting, and then there's a drop off. And that's kind of how it always seems to be. But yeah, I mean, when you look at it, the closest 4th place team in the entire league, National League and American League, is the Angels, and they're sitting at 8 games back of the Astros right now. Then you got the Mariners and Rangers just scrapping with each other to try to chase. So the MLB season just got started with the second half, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll keep you all updated here at 4-Star Sports Media, and we'll have more on the Royals. They signed Jack Cagliano. So, John, what do you think about Jack? I know we had a chance to talk to him in his press conference when he got drafted on draft night. But what do you think of Jack and the future of him and the Royals?
I like it, to be honest with you. I think it's more going to be for power hitting because you really never know how much longer. I know Jack has played like third base and first base, in multiple positions at multiple times, and whatnot. But it makes you wonder the future of a baseball player, Blake Witt, Mr. Witt for the Royals. What's the future going to be like? Is he still going to be a Royal down the road? Could the Yankees basically buy him out down the road? You know how money is these days.
Oh, yeah.
So can somebody like the Yankees or can somebody like the Braves or the Phillies nab him in free agency, or does Kansas City actually have the money to keep him? And down the road, the next 5 to 10 years or so down the road. But I like it. I think it's more of a power hitting move than a pitching move. But just the way that the Kansas City farm system right now is using different pitchers that started this year in the starting role, and now they're in the middle relief role. They might bring Jack in for a little bit of pitching just to see how he does, and whatnot. But I think it's going to be a more power hitting move due to free agency for the Royals. Can they keep the main guys that they want to keep down the road for free agency?
Yeah, I don't think I mean I can tell you this. I mean, this. I'm around the Nationals program organization pretty close. Bobby Witt's not going anywhere. He is the future of Kansas City Royals. I mean, talking with the VP of the executive, vice president of the team and things of that nature in press conferences and stuff, they're really high on him, and I think they'll do whatever they have to do to keep him. Right. And I think, and to your point with Jack, they even talked about it. Hey, I think there's a chance we could see him probably, possibly this year in minors, maybe rookie ball, maybe high A, maybe swinging a bat. You know what I mean? I think he can get in there and do some DH work, stuff like that. I don't see Jack getting in there and throwing 8, 9, 6 innings. You know what I mean? Anything like that. But to your point, I agree. I think we could definitely see him get in a batter's box at probably the high A level, which would be a lot of fun. And once he gets to double A, triple A, go ahead.
Especially when people sign 11-year deals these days and they don't do the full 11 years. Like Bobby Witt did sign 11-year, $288 million max this offseason. But you don't see players staying full 11 years in one place anymore. You just stay like 5 to 6 years at one place and then move on. So that's one reason I'm bringing that up, for example, regarding Mr. Witt.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we saw Hagen Smith, speaking of Chicago White Sox, we saw Hagen Smith sign an $8 million deal, which is the highest bonus from any left-handed pitcher in MLB draft history. So they took him at number 5. Definitely was the right pick for the White Sox. I was extremely ecstatic when we got him. And we had talked about it a few weeks prior to the draft, that I felt that he could fall down to the White Sox. I figured if the White Sox didn't take him, I had the Royals taking him with that next pick. And talking with the Royals.
Yeah. We'll get done with that.
Talking with the Royals, the board fell exactly how they thought it would. And that was the director of scouting said, hey, it's not often you look at your board and you look at the draft board and you're knocking them off at the same time. He said, Jack was our guy. He said, we had Jack at 6 the entire time. If he wasn't there, I think personally, I feel like they would have taken Hagen, especially when you look at how they drafted after Jack. Damn near all pitchers.
Yeah.
So, I think it was pretty a foregone conclusion that I think Hagen would have come to Kansas City, but he's not. He's in Chicago. Connor Nolan, former Arkansas Razorback pitcher, just got called up to the Cubs. It's the Iowa Cubs there for the Chicago Cubs organization. And the White Sox are full of Arkansas players. So I think Hagen will do really well. I want to see how this team really develops him into a major league pitcher. It's going to be a lot of fun. Some people say he won't last very long in the minors. I don't think so, man. I think he takes his time and if you're the White Sox, you don't rush this kid up.
Mm-mm.
You don't. You rush him up to the majors and you're going to screw him up. Don't do it. Let him take his time. Let him build. Let him develop how he should. There's no sense in rushing this kid to the majors, especially when your team is 40 games behind first place. No need. It's stupid. Why would somebody even think that they're gonna rush him up to the majors? The team's freaking 40 games behind first place. They suck. All right, let's go. Oh yeah, hold on. You got one more thing.
I got a question regarding the future of these two players.
Yeah.
Who goes to the majors quicker? I'm not saying, like you brought up, there's no rush for both of these players. But who goes quicker? Charlie from the Rockies or Jack from the Royals? Who makes it the majors and plays in their first at bat quicker?
Man, that's tough. Because Charlie is going to annihilate baseballs in that thin ass Colorado air. And they are well aware of that. Honestly, man, I think it's Jack, and I think it's because of this. We know how special a two-way guy is, and we also know how unique it is. I mean, we look at Shohei, and Jack talked about it. Shohei's a guy that he looked up to, that he continues to look up to, and then he gave Kevin O'Sullivan full credit. He said, without Kevin O'Sullivan, I'm not where I am today, and I'm not a two-way player. So you got to really look at using the word develop, right? You look at how Jack was developed at Florida, and I'm not saying that Hagen wasn't developed well at Arkansas. I don't want anybody to overreact to that statement. But both of these guys, including Charlie, you've got to you can't. Paul Skeens is an anomaly, man. Paul Skeens is a freak. Paul Skeens is the exception to the rule, in my opinion. But you can't rush these guys up. To answer your question, though, I think it's Jack just because of the two-way. I think the two-way really affects his movement, his development. And it's one of those things to where as he's developing from the plate, he can also be developing on the mound simultaneously. So just like Charlie, I mean, as he's developing in the plate, he's developing in the field, right? Same principle. But I think that two-way and what Jack brings to a team, no matter what level it is, whether it's, the ACL Royals, the, Columbia Fireflies, Northwest Arkansas Naturals, or Quad City, Quad City River Bandits, Northwest Arkansas Naturals, or Omaha Storm Chasers. You're gonna see these guys develop. I think it's Jack, John, but I will say this: I don't think Charlie's far behind him. Same with Hagen Smith. I think all of these guys are in the pros. I mean, by the end of the year next year, probably. I think they're there, maybe. I mean, if not beginning of that next year. And I mean, people are going to be like, oh, you're an idiot. There's the top 5 picks in the draft. They're going to be in the league by then. No, they're not. Like I said, Paul Skeens is an anomaly, man. And you can't screw these kids up. You paid freaking Hagen Smith $8 million. Don't you dare send that kid to freaking MLB right now. Don't you dare do it.
Yeah, I trust the Royals organization a lot more than I do the Rockies.
Hell yeah, I do. I trust them a lot more than I do the White Sox, too. No doubt about it. And I'm a huge White Sox fan, man. I don't mean any disrespect towards my guys. But looking at the way that these teams develop talent and the way that they hold on to talent in order to move them up into their organization, I think the Royals do an incredible job. You look at Salvador Perez. Salvi's incredible. I mean, Brady Singer, you know what I mean? I mean, you look at all these guys they've drafted. And they also just signed Drew Beam, too. Drew's going to be a lot of fun to watch for that Kansas City team. But let's jump over to college football, John. You talked about it earlier. Excuse me. You talked about it earlier. There is media day just everywhere. I mean, it's here, it's there, it's going off. Who said this? Did you hear him say that? Did you hear him say that? He said that too? Yeah. We talked about it. Mike Norvell was asked very quickly at the ACC kickoff. Second question of his day there in ACC country in Charlotte. We know Tony Syracuse is there. We know a few other people there with sports and culture media as well. But they asked him, hey, Coach, you got your former team coming in week 3.
Early kickoff,
Coach. How you feel? And I mean, I give Mike credit. I do. I give him credit. He respectfully said, "Look, Memphis is a good football team. You know, I give all the respect to those guys. That place holds a special place in my heart." And then he did the coach speak and it's like, well, you know, we got to get ready for week one. And Silverfield did the same thing. We got to get ready for week one. And of course, they asked Silverfield about it Tuesday at the American Athletic. And Silverfield said, look, man, you know, Mike and I were thick as thieves for 4 years. I like how Silverfield used the term Mike and I were thick as thieves for 4 years. I mean, dude, I don't care what anybody tells you. Both those teams want to win that game. Both of those guys on both of those squads understand what's going on. They know Norvell was at Memphis. They get it. The majority of the staff that was at Memphis with Norvell is at Florida State. Now you look at Silverfield. You look at what Silverfield was able to do. 10-win season last year, 5th time in program history. Fourth time since 2014? Is that right? But I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for later on in the season, but I don't know what the line is, but I think I'll take Memphis to cover.
I'll say right now it's a -8.
I'll take Memphis to cover that. And I know that's saying something. I understand they got
not Memphis, by the way.
Yeah. You know, they got DJU. Yes, they got Uwe Ungle. They've got a heck of a defense. Their defensive coordinator is really good. One of my favorite defensive coordinators that's ever been at Memphis. Him, Jolie Dunn, John Thompson, and others. Legendary guys. I think Chris Ball did an amazing job with Memphis. But I'll be honest with you. What I saw in the against Iowa State from Jordan Hankins, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a Memphis defense fly around the field like that, ever. And that took me back to like New Orleans Bowl, Coop Terry, and those guys really flying around the field because they did it at all 3 levels. That first level gave you problems, so that second level became an issue every time. And I think that's going to be an incredible game. It's going to be a lot of fun college football season. We'll be right here with it all year long. We will start getting into our weekly game picks here on the Sports Buffet for college games. We're going to do a 6-pack here at the Sports Buffet. We'll pick 4 games we'll do a 6-pack plus 2, so it'll be an 8-pack. The other 2 will be a weekly pick of the Memphis game and the Arkansas Razorback game. Those are 2 staples here for us, so we pick those every week. But then we'll give you 6 games from around the country. It may be Kennesaw State versus North Dakota State. It may be Texas versus Georgia. It may be Ouachita Baptist versus Henderson State for the Battle of the Ravine. It's going to be a little bit of everything. We're not just going to go pick the 6 biggest marquee games, top 10 games, and pick those. No, we might pick 1 or 2 of those. We're going to spread it out and talk a little bit about everybody because that's the best way to do it from a national perspective. Right, John?
Right. Yeah. We'll probably do like a 2 morning game, like 11 a.m., 2 afternoon, 3:30, 4:30, whatever time slot it is. And then the later half of the 8 o'clock, pack 2 after dark.
Yeah. A little action on a Tuesday night, something. We'll definitely keep it entertaining. And then that'll also roll into Over Under, which will be on air this Sunday. I apologize for last weekend, but it will be on air this Sunday. And that's another little unique way to go in. And, we can easily say, hey, the Over Under for the Ole Miss Texas game is like 220 points. Are you going over or under? Which one are you going? Right. So obviously it's not 220 points. Obvious exaggeration. But hey, Kiffin did say, get your popcorn ready. So, man, John, college football is right around the corner, man. Talking season is going on. Talking season has been going on since it ended, in all honesty. So let's talk a little bit about it before we get into Arkansas. So let's look at it from a national perspective, okay? You've got media days going on. ACC just went off. Big 12 went off. Big 10 was going. CUSA was going. Sun Belt's going right now. The MEAC was going. SWAC's probably getting it on here, getting theirs kicked off here pretty soon. What's your thoughts on all the media days? Because, specifically here in Arkansas, Some of the fan base are like, oh, yeah, you start drinking the Kool-Aid, get all excited about them Hogs, and then they're going to get out there and go 3-9. Pittman's going to be gone. Petrino's going to be the man. So, you know what I mean? Like, you go from that to like, Auburn's going to win the ball game. You know what I mean? Like the guy with the kick six. So, when you look at it, though, man, do you take a lot of stock in the media days? I mean, does that really get you energized for the football season? Or are you like, yeah, it's just all coach speak?
I mean, you brought this question up was it like 2 weeks ago now? It feels like. Is it for clicks? Is it for show? Or is it just about right? Or something similar to that,
Real information, yeah.
Looking back at some of them the last couple of days, and I'm like, for example, short and sweet, Coach Foster yesterday in his opening.
That was terrible.
I'm like, what? I'm like, what?
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but since you did,
I'm like, hang on. I'm bringing that up because I'm like, 1 minute of your opening statement is, well, we're excited to join the Big Ten. We're out in LA. Well, there's another school out in LA called Southern Cal, also doing the Big Ten.
Yeah,
or something along those lines.
And we're excited.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited to get the season started.
And then he started laughing. That's
right.
What got me. He was like,
what is
and I'm like,
what is wrong with talking about your off season?
Yeah.
What is wrong with talking about your prep for the Big Ten?
Talk about your program.
Talk about your players.
History. Yeah.
Chip Kelly no longer there. You're the head coach.
We appreciate what Coach Kelly did. Something.
Shout out to Brian Finley. That type of stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean,
what am I watching right now? But
if SNL, hold on a second. If SNL does not jump all over that, I'm telling you, man, SNL better be all over that. Because, I mean, he was just dumbfounded. And I like Deshaun Foster. I'll be honest with you. Prior to seeing that, I was a little excited about UCLA Bruin football.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony the Bruin, Tony Siracusa, big Bruin guy. The biggest I know, in all honesty. I gotta reach out to Tony on this one because
I'm speechless.
I mean, but then and then I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, is he being sarcastic? You know what I mean? Like, is he being funny? Is he being facetious? And then he looked at the camera like it was a deer with a car coming at it. And that's when I was like, no, this man is being yeah, we're excited to be here. Oregon's got a big duck outside. Sorry, we didn't bring the Bruin. Sorry guys. They go quack. We don't. They're from Oregon. We're from California, Los Angeles. Like we didn't know. The name is UCLA, coach. University of California, Los Angeles. Why would you? Well, in case you guys didn't know, we're in Los Angeles, California. And then to your point, there's another team there too, in case you didn't know. I mean, you're essentially talking to the Big Ten like they're all idiots. I mean, seriously. I mean, he really, I get, hey, let's go in there and poke some people. You know what I mean? Like, first time, I get it. Poke a little bit. The duck outside, incredible marketing. The speech from Deshaun Foster, horrible marketing.
Yeah.
If you don't put a shirt out there with a guy going, we're excited, I'm shocked. I'll do it. I'll go find somebody to do it. I don't care.
Yeah, that was just a total embarrassment, man. Like,
the next time I hear somebody butcher a damn press conference, I'm like, man, he pulled it to Sean. That's it. He fostered that.
But, yeah, talk about the Big Ten, man, like, real quick. I know a lot of people are like, it's anxious to see how Nebraska's going to do with Coach Rule. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like, give me a Big Ten team that might surprise somebody, and I said Nebraska.
100%.
I said Nebraska because Matt Rule, everywhere he's been, other than NFL ranks, he's been a winner in the college level. Like, he turned around Temple for a crying out loud. Yeah, Temple won like 6 games or 7 games. But dude, this ain't the Temple team that won like 1 game under him. You know, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But Matt Rule, everywhere he's been, year 3 now at Nebraska. I said Wisconsin, my disappointment a couple weeks ago, and I'm still holding to that right now because I'm just anxious to see how their offense is going to be under Coach Fickell still. I know he did so well at Cincinnati, but still, it's Wisconsin. You know, they're so used to running the football still in Wisconsin. Big Ten, shout out Iowa is going to be interesting to watch. A new OC now, you know, and God, their coach has been there 40 plus years also. But yeah, the Big Ten I think is going to be surprising a lot of people. And shout out to James Franklin at Penn State. People might hate him or not like him, but he made 2 good hires in the offseason and hiring Tom Allen as his DC, former Indiana coach. And I think Penn State is going to be interesting to watch down the road. But Big Ten, like Dan Lanning brought up, maybe we should bring an inflatable duck to all of our road games this year as well.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. When you look at Deshaun Foster, playing experience was a running back at UCLA from 1998 to 2001. He played for the Carolina Panthers from 02 to 07 and played for the San Francisco 49ers in 08. His previous head coaching experience, the same as J.J. Redick. None. 8-5 last year for UCLA. They returned 7 starters on offense, 5 on defense. A team that you're 100% right, John.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to watching Nebraska. I'm really looking forward to seeing how PJ Fleck and the Minnesota Golden Gophers come back from a 6-7 last year. Of course, you lose to Bowling Green 30-24 at a bowl game last year. You really can't do that if you're Minnesota. Nothing against Bowling Green. I'm just saying. But you look at PJ Fleck, man, 50-34 at Minnesota. It's a good record at Minnesota. That's a winning record at a place that's not that easy to win at. You look at their schedule. They start off on a Thursday night, August 29th, kick off the season against North Carolina. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's an exciting game. They don't have an off week until October 19th, John. That's why I say I'm looking forward to watching this team. I want to see how they can do North Carolina, Rhode Island, Nevada, Iowa at home, at Michigan, USC at home, at UCLA before their first bye week. Oh, and then, by the way, they go Maryland at Rutgers, at Illinois at Rutgers, a bye again, Penn State and Wisconsin at the end of the season. I think this team could very easily win 6-7 games again. And I think they could have every bit of 4 or 5 wins before their first bye. So really looking forward to watching how PJ Fleck does. Another one's Brett Bielema, man. It's a name that really I almost feel like people forget that he's even at Illinois. 5-7 last year. He's going to be going into his 4th season there. He is, 16-19? Yeah, 18-19 overall. So right at 50% at Illinois. It's going into his 4th year. But did you see these new throwback helmets and jerseys and stuff that he brought out? Oh, I'm not even an Illinois fan, man. And I'm like, damn, those are good looking. So I'm really looking forward to watching them as well. And then to your point, John, Penn State, man. Penn State's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I like James Franklin a lot. He does lose Manny Diaz over to Duke as their new head coach. But I'm telling you, man, don't sleep on the Penn State Nittany Lions. I think they're going to be a team to watch. And you mentioned it, man. There's something about Matt Rule in that 3rd year. You go back and look at what he did with Temple. You go back and look at what he did at other places, Baylor as well. Really, really, really good job. But the hire of the year in the Big Ten is not Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. That's not it. The hiring of the year was Penn State. They went and got Tom Allen, former Indiana head coach, to be
Tom Allen.
Not Tim, but Tom, former defensive coordinator or former head coach at Indiana. And then you bring in a new OC, and the guy that was at Buffalo, and he was also the Kansas offensive coordinator as well.
Yeah.
So then you bring in a new special teams coordinator. So when you look at Franklin, there's evolution here. He's evolving. He understands that there's a transfer portal for not only players but also coaches. So going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm really looking forward to digging into the college football season as it takes off throughout the year. But man, let's go. Let's see what. Let's take a quick break right quick. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk Arkansas Razorback football as we call those Hogs. We'll be right back right here on the 4-Star Sports Media Network. You're at the Sports Buffet. What's up, folks? Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. You are sitting down at the Sports Buffet, and I'm getting kind of full of sports today. We've had a lot on the plate. But up next, man, we're going to talk a little Arkansas football. And don't forget, tonight, our Arkansas show here on 4-Star Sports Media, the Hogs Happy Hour will be back tonight. Yes, Happy Hour is back. They will be back talking all things Arkansas Razorbacks. So be sure and check out Blake and Ashton tonight. And John, it's time to get into a little Arkansas Razorback football as we go over the schedule. And then we also give a season prediction for what we think this team will do in 2024. So let's get into it, John. First off, I'll start with you, man. What are your initial thoughts when you heard that Bobby P was coming back to the Hill as their offensive coordinator?
Bobby P. Stay off the motorcycle. I like the hire because, like we have talked about numerous times, could he be the head coach in waiting, per se, for the Razorbacks. But I think it's going to basically make that quarterback room a lot better than at times throughout the year, but their schedule, which we'll go over here in a little bit, is just so brutal. People got them winning 3.5 to 4 games right now still. And I think it's because they don't know how certain the Boise State transfer quarterback came in. God, his name escapes me right now.
Taylor Green.
Yeah, Taylor Green, that's right. Yeah, but he replaces KJ Jefferson, where KJ, to me, the offensive line is going to be the key for this offensive coordinating for Bobby P, because games past a couple of games ago, offensive line just didn't produce, and like the guys like Jason has brought up some on that show with you recently, the offensive line is going to be key, and I think they give up too easy at times. Once we're down like 17-3, they seem to fold, or the whole offense seems to fold, and it's not produce. So yeah, definitely interesting year. I think Bobby P is a good hire to come back, but you might have your ups and downs throughout the year because you're not sure on how your, team is going to produce at times throughout the game.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You look at Taylor Green. Of course, you talked about it. Former Boise State quarterback. We saw him live last year when they took on Memphis. You lose Rocket Sanders. He takes off and shoots the rocket over to South Carolina. He's now a running back for Shane Beamer. In addition to that, Rocket dropped weight. Beamer talked about it at the SEC Media Days. But you bring in Jaquindon Jackson, young man from Utah, power runner, also has speed, can really lose you. You keep Rashad Dominion, plus you bring in Braylon Russell and Rodney Hill. Then you got, this is where I think Arkansas really makes a jump this year from the offensive side of things. I think you see Isaiah Satania, a young man out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Fayetteville High School, track runner, incredible speed. You saw him utilized last year in the special teams, punt game, things of that nature. He now really becomes one of the number one receivers for Arkansas. But you also have him. You got Jaden Wilson. You got Isaac Tesla, who I am really looking forward to. Young, talented man. Of course, everyone's talking about Luke Hollis, the sophomore, talented tight end who got hurt last year. Had he not got hurt, I think Luke could have very well been an All-American last season. And you just talked about it, John. The offensive line. It's got to get better. It's got to get retooled, especially we know Sam Pittman's an offensive line guy. He brings in Eric Mateos from Mississippi State. He sends his offensive line coach, Cody Kennedy, to Mississippi State. So it's like a little, look, man, you take your guy, I'll take our guy. We'll just trade. We'll meet halfway. We'll drop them off. You can pick them up later. You know what I mean? It's like a divorced parent dropping off kids. It was weird. So they swapped those guys around, and I think it's a great move. You listen to what Sam Pittman had to say at the SEC Media Days. He talked about Bobby Petrino. He talked about Eric Mateos. He talked about the defensive coordinator and more, and he said, I let those guys do what they do. We talked about that with other coaches as well. But you got Addison Nichols, young man who was at Tennessee, comes over to Arkansas. You've got Josh Braun, young man that was at Florida. He was with Arkansas last year. Big time player. Patrick Kudus had 9 starts last year for Arkansas. Keyshawn Blackstone at right tackle, I think is going to be really, really, really good. And then Fernando Carmona had 24 starts the last 2 seasons with San Jose State. Then you look at it on the defensive side of the ball. You got Eric Gregory, a young man. It's going to be really, really, really fun to watch. Cameron Ball, it's going to be really fun to watch too. Defensive tackle. Both of those guys are defensive tackles. Ashton Junecott Sr. Is going to be really, really, really talented to watch. And of course, everybody knows Landon Jackson, young man that came from LSU. He'll be a top pick in the draft, I believe. But then you go look and see what Arkansas did in the portal. You talk about handpicking Taylon Green, right? They also went and got Stephen Dix Sr. from Florida State. He plays he plays the middle linebacker position. You also went and got Xavier Story Jr. from Georgia, middle linebacker, extremely talented. Then you go get you've got Danicio Slaughter in the hog position, kind of like the tiger position in Memphis, for example. But all the way down, this team is going to be really, really talented. But the question is, can they remain talented and can they remain together and they can continue to be consistently successful throughout the season? And it kicks off on August 29th, Thursday night game down in Little Rock. I know everybody gets so mad about they play in Little Rock, but they're playing Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is pretty cool. These two teams just met 3 years ago with Arkansas winning that game 45-3. And the Hogs are just 2-6 against the spread versus FCS foes, but did beat Western Carolina 56-13 last year. And speaking of the Arkansas Pine Bluff Lions, they went 2-9 last year and are 6-1 against the spread against FBS foes. So start off with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Obviously, I think this is a win. I think Arkansas gets the win. I think Arkansas beats them pretty handedly. I think the talent level, you're going to see it, and I think you'll see it pretty quick. I don't expect Taylon Green to play the whole game. That tells you, if that gives you any indication of how bad I think Arkansas wins, I don't think Taylon plays the whole game. Should he? Maybe. Because obviously you have them beating Arkansas Pine Bluff, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Week 2, they go to Oklahoma State. This is where the season starts. Yes, I understand. Oh, it's week 1. It starts with all. I get that. But this is a tough road environment for week 2.
Mm-hmm.
You're not walking in and playing, no offense to UAB, but you're not going and playing at UAB, right? Not the same. Last time Arkansas played Oklahoma State in Stillwater was 1976, by the way. Arkansas won that game. Arkansas has lost the last five meetings, including the last time they played in Stillwater, which was in 1978, and they lost that game 19-7. 19-7 in 1978. That's crazy. Arkansas is 1-6 straight up in road openers. This is gonna be tough, man. This is gonna be really tough. It's the first. Also, I find this very interesting. This is the first true road game versus a non-conference Power 5 opponent since 2016. You want to know who that opponent was, John?
Go ahead.
TCU. They lost 41-38 in overtime.
Right.
This is going to be a battle, man. Mike Gundy, we know, don't mess with the mullet man. He's 40. He's over 40 now, but still. And no offense, but you can be a running back on his team and get a DUI at age 20, and you get to still go and do whatever you want to do at the media day. And Mike Gundy said the only punishment he'll have for him is he might hand it to him 50 times in the first game. And then we've played it here. Mike Gundy went on to say, I've done that millions of times. So I think Arkansas loses this game in week 2. I don't think they beat Oklahoma State. I think they start out 1-1. What about you, John?
It's going to be tough, like you brought up. Stillwater's no tough, easy place to play at. Good thing for Arkansas, it's not a night game. It's an early kick. So you really never know what Cowboy team is going to show up early game. But, yeah, loss for Arkansas. It's going to be closer than people think. I think it might be a high-scoring game also at times. But I can see like a 34-27 type ball game being the final score.
Okay. Week 3, September 14th, Arkansas takes on UAB at home. Only previous meeting was a 45-17 win by Arkansas in 2014. Entering 2023, Sam Pittman is 12-2 straight up versus non-conference opponents, but Arkansas has failed to cover the last 5 versus non-conference FBS foes. I think Arkansas beats UAB. I don't think it's easy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's easy.
Yeah.
No. And I think it's close. And when I say I think it's close, I mean like 7 points or less, they win this game. What about you?
I think it's a 7-10 type ball game also. I think UAB, you brought up earlier, might surprise some people. I think Trent Dilfer's mindset with the offense they got. Heck, when the UAB has a dual threat quarterback, you never know what's going to happen. Arkansas wins this by like 10 points.
All right, so that looks as I have Arkansas at 2-1 right now. Then they take off and head to Auburn for a place that Arkansas fans just cringe whenever they see that team going down there. We remember the Bo Nix fumble. It wasn't a fumble, and it cost them the game. And there's a referee that everybody complains about all the time. But Arkansas is 3-2 straight up in this series. Last time there, Arkansas led 17-13 at the half, and then ended up winning. Led 17-13 at the half, 38-13 at the end of the fourth quarter, and won the game 41-27. Arkansas is 11-21 straight up in SEC openers since 2018. Give me Arkansas to go into Auburn and get a win. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think this is almost a turning point for this team. Because if you look at that, that'll give them their 3rd win on the season, and they're playing their first game in conference. I think Arkansas goes down there and gets a win, not an easy win, but a big win on the road.
Yeah, I can agree to that, but I think Auburn, oh man, this is really toss up. just because the game's at either 2:30 or 7 o'clock right now as we speak. It's on that flex option. You don't want to catch Jordan Hare at night. So I could see this game going either way just because the game could be at night. But right now, on top of my head, I don't know, man. It's just tough because, Hugh Freeze really didn't impress me in year one at Auburn. But I could see an Arkansas team going in there. I guess Taylor Green, to me, makes a difference in this game. I think Taylor Green has a decent day for the Razorbacks by not running the ball, but throwing the football as well. I think it might be ugly, like a 13-10 type ball game, but Arkansas escapes somehow over at Auburn somehow. They find a way.
Yeah, one thing that I've really 100%. One thing that really stands out to me is that Arkansas is 4-13 on the road under Sam Pittman. That's got to improve.
Right.
That's got to improve. Coming off a bye, which they don't have a bye then, but coming off a bye, Arkansas is 5-2 under Sam Pittman. That's good. That's a positive. At home, Arkansas is 15-10 under Sam Pittman. And I think a stat that no one seems to remember is Sam Pittman's 2-0 in bowl games. Bobby P wasn't even 2-0 in bowl games. 4-13 on the road, though, man. It's got to get better. It's got to get better. But I think they get the win there. Then September 28th, they take a road trip for an alternate site game, Southwest Classic, for the last time in Arlington. Starting next season, this game will be on each team's campuses, which I fully support. But they take on Texas A&M. John, the stat that stands out to me in this is Arkansas has not been favored in this game since 2010. They've lost 11 of the last 12 meetings. They did win in 2021. But Arkansas was held to just 174 yards and 10 first downs in the 34-22 loss last year in this game. I don't think Arkansas wins this game.
No.
I don't think
no.
I think it's close. I mean, if you look at Arkansas last year, look at their losses. I think all but one came when they were all like less than 7 points, right? I think this is close. I think it's another close one. I think it's a 7 to 10 point win for Texas A&M, which puts Arkansas at 3-2.
Right.
On my book. Is that the same as yours?
Yeah, same as mine. Although I think I hate to say this to all the Arkansas fans, I think this is where Mike Elko opens up the playbook a little bit more, and I think the A&M offensive line, defensive line makes a statement in this game. Not early on, though. I think they make a statement in that second half, and maybe shout out Arkansas on that second half and on that offense department, because like we talked about, which offensive line is going to show up for Arkansas? Is it going to be the good Arkansas offensive line from years past, or is it going to be the one that gives up after being down like 14-3 or 17-3 or something similar to that, where they basically go into the red zone late in the first half and then just turn the ball over and then A&M just capitalize, opening up the second half kickoff or something like that. I think it's going to be like, I hate to say this, but I think it's going to be like a 14-21 type ball game rather than a 7-10 point game. I think A&M opens the playbook up a little bit more in this game, and I think A&M wins maybe like a 35-10 type ball game.
Okay. Up next, October 5th, you'll be up here. Arkansas takes on Tennessee. Tennessee has a bye week the week prior. I always bring that up because to me that's very, very important. You give a team an extra week to prepare for you, they're going to be ready. When you look at this series, Arkansas has won the last 3 meetings in 2011, 2015, and 2020, and they've covered 9 of the last 11 since 1997. Arkansas has also covered 5 of the 6 when are underdogs against ranked teams. I would imagine Tennessee will be ranked when this game is played. This is going to be a tough one, man. I'm going to go Arkansas here. I'm going to go Arkansas, and I'll say it. The reason is this. I think they cause problems for the quarterback. I think they create turnovers. I think they create extra opportunities for their offense. And to your point on the Texas A&M game and talking about Mike Elko, I think this is the game that you really see this Arkansas offense open up. I think Arkansas gets this win. I think they win this game by 14 points, 2 touchdowns. So that would put Arkansas at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 in my book.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Another thing is, what time that game is going to be. It's either going to be at 2:30 or 7 o'clock as well. Like you brought up, the quarterback play is going to be brand new for Tennessee. And this is going to be his first true road test, going to Fayetteville as well. And he's a redshirt freshman who got to play in that bowl game last year for Tennessee. But you have brought up Tennessee has struggled. They've always seemed to have one bad game throughout the year, but I don't think this is the game. I think Arkansas loses this game. But like you said, I think it's a closer game than people think because it's the first true road test for the quarterback play for Tennessee and other players in general that have stand out. But Tennessee wins this, and I think it's a closer game than people think, though.
All right, so I've got Arkansas sitting at 4-2. You've got Arkansas sitting at 3-3 currently. So October 12th is their bye week. I'll go back to a statement that I made earlier. Arkansas is 5-2 coming off a bye. Well, coming off the bye, they got to play homecoming against LSU on October 19th. Whoa. I'll say that one more time for those of you that may not have heard me. LSU, Arkansas, they're typically the game that's at the end of the year, Black Friday,
Battle of the
Boot, a real rivalry, is now on October 19th. AKA, shout out my sister. That's her birthday as well. But October 19th, homecoming against LSU. Oh, the last four meetings in this series have all been decided by 3 points each. Arkansas is 1-7 straight up, but 4-3-1 against the spread, and it's covered the last 2 spreads. 7 of the last 10 meetings in this series have also gone under. Talking a little over/under, they've gone under the total. I don't know. This is the anomaly game. I want to say LSU because I think Brian Kelly could have a really good football team this year. Yes, they lose their quarterback. I understand all that. But you look at Brian Kelly and look at what he's done. Very similar to a Matt Rule. But look at Brian Kelly in the year 3. Don't sleep on LSU. But give me LSU, which will put Arkansas at 4-4 in my book.
Yeah, LSU might be a little bit banged up going into Fayetteville in this game and a night game in Fayetteville because they do play Ole Miss right before that, and they're let's just be real. The non-conference schedule is Southern Cal, UCLA, and then you play Ole Miss before you play Arkansas. A lot of people are saying that Southern Cal game, for LSU, is like 3.5, point spread right now. But LSU I think beats Arkansas, but it's going to be going down to the wire where somebody could capitalize on the turnover late in the game. The game very well could be tied going into that final quarter because I think LSU is going to be banged up from the Ole Miss game the week before. But I think LSU somehow capitalizes on the turnover.
Yep. All right, October 26th, Arkansas takes a road trip down to Starkville, Mississippi to take on Mississippi State. Did you know that Arkansas only plays 3 true SEC road games this year?
Yeah. At Auburn, at State. Then, yeah.
Yep. At Auburn, at State, at Missouri. It's crazy. Oh, this is gonna be a tough one, man. I like Jeff Lebby, but I don't think this is gonna be the year for him. I think Arkansas wins this game on the road, gives them their 5th win of the season. I'll say 10-point win.
You know, in years past, Mississippi State has always had that one hiccup game. And I think this is going to be that one hiccup game because they always seem to not play well early kickoffs at times. Down the start, will either the students don't show up till halftime because they're all partying it up the night before or early morning. But I think Arkansas wins this game. But like you said, I think it's going to be a close game. So I think Arkansas could win number 4 at Mississippi State just because, one, you don't know what to expect from a Mississippi State team with an early kickoff. And Mississippi State might be a little bit banged up going to that Arkansas game as well, as we talked about previous schedules, you know, with other teams. So, yeah, I think Arkansas can win this game. So I'll give Arkansas a dub.
Okay. Up next, Ole Miss comes to town. And if you know anything about Ole Miss, Arkansas, you know to expect the freaking unexpected in these games. I'll never forget where I was when Hunter Henry just heaved the ball back like a damn grenade, just chunked it, and then they ended up getting the first down and then come back and winning the game. This is a tough one, man. I'm torn. I think Ole Miss could be really good this year. Like SEC Conference Championship.
Right.
Good. Give me Ole Miss to win this game. And but I will say this. I think it is an absolute shootout. Like back to remember when Ole Miss and Alabama were in a shootout a few years back?
Right.
Back and forth. I think it's like that. I really do. I think it's you score, I score, you score, I score. Whoever has the ball last scores. I think it's that kind of game. I think it's a shootout, but I think Ole Miss gets the win.
Or the Matt Jones 7 overtime game against Ole Miss.
I hope not. God dang. Matter of fact, that was on TV the other night. I was watching a little bit of it. Yeah, that was a hell of a football game.
Yeah, that's another early kickoff for the Razorbacks in Fayetteville. The real question is also, I think, how is the secondary going to do against the talented receivers in the Ole Miss receiving core and the quarterback play with Jackson Dart? Jackson Dart, I think, is going to have a most improved quarterback this year in the country, to be honest with you, regarding Ole Miss. But I think Arkansas takes a tough one here. And you say it's going to be a shootout, but it's going to be tough for that secondary for Arkansas to keep up with Jackson Dart throwing the ball maybe like 45 times in the first half.
Yeah, for real. So that's a loss there. So I've got Arkansas at 5-4, 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
We got a bye week, but now if you remember, I told you Arkansas is 5-2 after a bye. I've got them losing to LSU, so we'll go ahead and mark them down as 5-3 after a bye. And then they host Texas. I'll say that because they just hosted Texas 2 years ago. Probably the biggest win in Sam Pittman's tenure. It rejuvenated a fan base. It brought out hatred that a fan base didn't even know was hatred. I mean, a lot of Arkansas fans are young. A lot of the young fans don't understand why they're supposed to hate Texas. They just hate them. Why do you hate them? Because I'm supposed to. Well, that doesn't make any sense. But I think Texas is really good this year too. I think Texas gets the win. And I think Texas comes in here and puts it on Arkansas. Because I think that game's circled. Steve Sarkisian's talked about it. Sam Pittman's talked about it. It is circled. Texas wants that game, especially after the way they came in here last time and Arkansas ran the ball all over them.
Mm-hmm.
Over 250 yards, I believe, rushing that game. And I know for sure over 200. I think Texas gets the win. And I don't think it's close. I think Texas beats them pretty bad.
Yeah, I can agree to that just because you never know what team. I guess the bright side, the game's an early kickoff again for the Razorbacks because you don't know what team is going to show up for Texas. But Quentin Ewers is up there with the SEC championship game against Georgia for a reason. He's got the receiving core to do it. And I think it's going to be another long day for the secondary of Arkansas. Texas probably beats them by 21 to 28 points.
Yeah, I think Texas does beat them pretty good. All right, November 23rd, Louisiana Tech comes to town. Arkansas has won the two most recent meetings by just 1 point in both by 1 point in 2016 and by 4 in 1997. Arkansas is 8-15 against the spread versus non-Power 5 foes since 2015, and that includes 5 outright losses, and 4 of those were at home. All that being said, I think Arkansas wins the game. I think they get their 6th win of the year over Louisiana Tech. And I think they open it up. I think they beat Tech pretty handedly to set up a very intriguing matchup to close the season.
Go ahead and give me Arkansas with the dub. I think La Tech is going to be overly matched this game. They don't got the Birmingham Stallions, Coach Holtz coaching them, the back champion now, coaching at La Tech again. So Arkansas probably wins 20 to 21 points, somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the last 2 games between these 2 teams, like I said, 1 point and 4 points, 1 in 2016, 4 in 97. I think Arkansas beats them pretty handily. And then then comes the battle line rivalry between Arkansas and Missouri, because these 2 teams hate each other, right? The battle. Have you seen this trophy that they have for this battle line?
I haven't seen it lately, no.
Oh my God. It ain't changed. It's been hideous the whole time I've seen it. Like the Battle of the Boot makes sense, Arkansas, LSU, little boot shape, No, this is like Missouri, Arkansas, and there's like a across the battle line. It's a forced rivalry. Both schools are trying to, sunshine pump to get people freaking excited for it. Arkansas is 9-3 as away dogs under Sam Pittman since 2008. Arkansas is 3-13. 3-13 in SEC road finales. Last time there in 2022, Arkansas led 21-20 at halftime. Missouri came back and won 29-21 as Arkansas had 2 field goals and a punt on their last drives of the game. Blake Hogue commented and said, "What is the ceiling for Arkansas? I see 4 guarantees L's, potential for 8 wins, not saying it will happen." Blake, if you're watching right now, we appreciate everybody watching and listening. I forgot to mention that earlier. But we're going over the schedule right now. I've got Arkansas at 6 wins currently, and I've got them beating Missouri to close the season. 7 wins for Arkansas. Missouri has always had Arkansas's number. Ever since these 2 teams started playing, Arkansas has not played well. Missouri's pretty well handled. That's why I say it's not a rivalry. Both teams have to win for it to be a rivalry. Arkansas hasn't won. I don't know that they've beaten Missouri 2 times since they've been in the league. But I think Arkansas does this year. I think they close the season, big-time win in Columbia to get their 7th win of the year. What about you, John?
I was kind of torn between this game, like you brought up. I think it's going to be interesting because you got offense coordinator and Bobby P versus the offensive minded Eli from Missouri, the head coach.
Drink.
And man, I had Arkansas winning 5 games this year, and right now I'm going to stick to it. I think Missouri just got too much power, man. I'm excited to see Luther Burden come back from Missouri, and I think I think Luther Burden is going to have a field day against Arkansas secondary. Arkansas secondary is going to be battle tested all year with awesome quarterback play and awesome receiving play and awesome running back play. But I think it's just another game that Arkansas folds on. I think once they're down, like we brought up numerous times throughout this show, once they're down 2 scores, they just want to give up.
Yeah.
And I think this is a game that they could easily give up too easy. And just give up and say, okay, 5-7. It's gonna be tough, but because the game's in Columbia, and it's not a easy place to play at, but it's just so Arkansas's secondary just better be ready all season long.
Yeah,
and this is gonna be a long year for I think this is 5 wins. I mean, a lot of people got Arkansas only winning 3 games right now. To be honest with you, right now,
some idiots out there say they're not going to win a game all year.
Yeah. So I'll say 5-7, and I don't know if it gets Bob or Sam Pittman fired or not, but let's just say if he doesn't get fired, his hot seat is a lot hotter. And do not be surprised if Bobby P does not, like they do, keep Sam Pittman. Do not be surprised if Bobby P maybe does jump ship for like a head coaching job again down the road. Don't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I've got him winning 7 games. I put him in 7-5 on the season. Right. And that's a 3-win increase, from last year, being 4-8. I do want to bring this up though. If you look at the last 10 seasons for Arkansas, they are 53-70 overall. If you look at Arkansas over the last 10 years on the road, they're 11-30 on the road, 37-31 at home. If you're Arkansas, you've got to get that right. 10 years and you're 53-70. That can't happen. If you want to be who the majority of your fans think you are, and that is a team that will compete and that has a chance every year to make it to the SEC championship. Of course, if you look at Arkansas's history, they've only done that twice. They've lost all of them. They're 0-3 in the SEC championship as a team. But you've got to start winning football games. And you've got to win the games that you're supposed to win. You can't lose to a Louisiana Tech. You can't lose to a UAB. You can't lose to an Arkansas Pine Bluff. But then on the backside of that, you got to win some games that you're not supposed to win. Like I talked about, beating Tennessee is a game you're not supposed to win. Beating Missouri is a game you're not supposed to win.
Texas, for example, too.
Texas, exactly. That's a game you're not supposed to win. I think this is where the hiring of Bobby Petrino becomes very important for Arkansas. There's a real effect with Bobby because there's a defensive mind on the other side of that field, and you're standing on that sideline. You're trying to figure out what the hell is this guy going to do next? He knows, and you don't. And you can go back and watch all the film you want to. You go back and watch that Missouri State team 2 years ago. You watched them when they came into Arkansas. They were up big at halftime, folks. Go back and watch that Liberty game and Hugh Freeze when they beat them. I agree, Blake. I agree. Blake said Hogs have to get off to a great start. They will play at 5 different stadiums in the first 5 weeks. That is a very strange nugget that I also was aware of, Blake. Great job digging that little nugget out. I love the little term nugget too. It's a great point. And in those games, I've got Arkansas winning the first game, winning the third game.
4th game, we got to meet them Auburn too, I believe.
4th game, I've got them winning at Auburn. I've got them losing to A&M. So 5 games, I've got them winning 3 out of those 5, starting out 3-2. I think if you're an Arkansas fan, you start out 3-2, you're happy. I would think so anyway. But yeah, I got them going 7-5. I've got them making a bowl. Where will they end up in a bowl? I mean, they went to the Liberty Bowl a couple years ago and all the fans bitched. So I really don't understand. I mean, I don't get it. Like, oh, the Liberty Bowl sucks. Really? It paid you millions of dollars. It did because I know what I know what the payout is for Liberty Bowl.
And you had one of the best games. I know Arkansas was up.
Ever.
I know Arkansas was up like by 30. It felt like at half, but you had a Kansas team come in and was one of the better teams in Kansas. Go to that. And to be honest with you, I think we'll talk about Big 12 scheduling down the road a little bit, but that Kansas team was a feisty bunch, man. Like,
100%.
yeah, they didn't give up at all, and that game went down to the wire where it went down to that second overtime where we can still have a separate show for this, but I still can't. I don't like the new overtime rules. But yeah, that was a crazy game in general regarding that. But yeah, I got Arkansas going 5-7. But like we talked about, Arkansas does return 9 offensive starters. But the thing is, are they going to fold at the wrong time? Or per se, that's my bottom. I mean, that's what I don't understand with Arkansas, man. Like, you're down 2 scores for kind of loud. You're not like down like 4 scores. Yeah, and then I think then you return starters on defense, 8 starters on defense. But the thing is, you got so much better. This is no bashing on offense on Arkansas at all, but your tougher games, are at home per se. But you just got so many weapons on that other side of that other team.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at Arkansas defensively, I mean, they played really well last year. They flew around the ball. They made extra opportunities for their offense, and then the offense couldn't produce. That's really a big issue for that team last year. And I think, like I talked about, I think you bring in Bobby Petrino. I think it changes some things. And I know Blake and them are going to get into it later on tonight. So don't forget, guys. Tonight, probably around 5, 6 o'clock, generally is when they get kicked off. But Hogs Happy Hour will be on. Here in about 4 or 5 hours. Crap. John, let's go over to the dessert section.
And I would love Blake's scheduling also regarding this as well. I love Blake's impact on the schedule, what they think on their show later on today too. I would love to see them break down the schedule and see what they think as well.
Yeah. They do a good job, man. They like that little nugget he popped up there earlier, man. They always dig, very similar to me. They love digging into media guides like myself. They love digging into all those little nuggets of information. But time for the dessert, John, as we close the show. I'll let you go first, John. You got like a little list or something?
Well, we both have a list. This is a throwback to the old days. I want your top 3 quarterbacks of all time in the SEC that you enjoyed watching growing up.
Top 3. Oh, gosh. All time or growing up?
From maybe like 19.
I'm going to go number 3. I'm going to go Jared Lorenzen with Kentucky.
Okay.
Number 2, we go Jason Campbell with Auburn. Most people don't even know who the hell that guy is.
Former Redskin.
Yeah, former Redskin. Terry Baden days from down there. Terry Baden. Man, number 1. I mean, of course, everybody's gonna say Tebow and all those guys. Right. But I mean, just to kind of go. I mean, I've always kind of been an off the wall guy anyway. Johnny Manziel, dude. Johnny Manziel is my favorite. Just watching him weave through these teams. And then to watch his documentary and to watch his some of his recent interviews that he's done.
So I gotta go back and watch that.
Life has humbled him. You know what I mean? Like, he screwed up. He's admitted that he screwed up. Mm-hmm. I mean, he straight up said, "Look, Texas A&M should have suspended me. They should have kicked me off that team." So he understands the mistakes he made. Johnny Manziel, man. That right there, dude. When I was coaching youth football, that was it. That was the money play, and I knew we were going to score on it. So, what's yours, man?
Mine was tough, but that's what I'll let you go first on that one. But man, you brought up a good one, Jared Lorenzen. Who could forget that Kentucky versus LSU game back in the day when
the Kentucky Auburn game too, or Arkansas game too?
Yeah. So who could forget Jared Lorenzen? I'm just bringing up from my
Pillsbury throat boy.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Jared.
No doubt.
But yeah, I was bringing up my teenager days to my nowadays, basically. I'm not bringing it up to like early 1990s or anything like that because I really don't remember that generation other than Peyton Manning and T. Martin, for Tennessee. But number 2, I'll go with you brought up a good one in Jason Campbell, but a lot of people don't bring him up at all. But the former Chicago Bear quarterback Jay Cutler.
Yeah, man.
Jay Cutler days with not Derek Mason.
That was Franklin.
Franklin back in the day, whatnot, where they played Vanderbilt played Cincinnati in this bowl game here in the Liberty Bowl, and that was one of the. And even when so I was going to bring up I'll bring up Jay Cutler. He might have had some interesting offensive players around him, but I'll bring up Jay Cutler. Number 1 obvious choice. A lot of people will say Tim Tebow, whatnot, but Tim Tebow did it for Florida, which I still speak highly on Tim Tebow today, but I'm going to go DJ Shockley for the Georgia Bulldogs.
I forgot about DJ, man.
I enjoyed watching DJ not only throw the football, but also his running ability also for Georgia back then also.
Didn't they put him at wide receiver too?
Yeah, one time I believe. It's like Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey is pretty much all over the field. He's either playing receiver, corner,
special teams,
something like that. But DJ Shockley, man, who could forget the way that DJ battled against LSU in that SEC championship game back 10 to 15 years ago? But that was a tough list to make. But there's so many different quarterbacks you got to put out there, though, but because they highlighted their career. But I was going by what I remember a little bit the most of. But just like I said, no bash to Tim Tebow, no bash to other quarterbacks. But Jay Cutler, to me, the way that he turned Vanderbilt around completely was just remarkable for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, James Franklin's the only coach in Vanderbilt history to win 2 9-win seasons back to back. And you can go look through that history. He's the best coach they've ever had. I will freaking yell on that hill. Derek Mason was a heck of a football coach. I'm not saying he wasn't. But you look at what James Franklin was able to do in Nashville, Tennessee at Vanderbilt. Man won 9 games. Twice. When people are like, oh, well, the conference is just out to screw us. No, they're not. Nobody's out. I promise, and this is a whole nother show. But there's no one in any conference home office that's going, well, this team's playing this week. Yeah, they won last week. Let's just make sure they don't this week or next week. You know what? The week after too. Let's just screw them 3 weeks in a row so they don't make a bowl. There's no conference doing that, folks. That's all conspiracy theory bullcrap. All right, John.
Go out and support Vanderbilt for crying out loud.
Heck yeah. Get out there and support those guys.
Especially the way their stadium is getting renovated right now.
It's also in the new college football game, by the way.
Yeah. So go out. I know they play like a high school stadium, people say, but go out and support the Vanderbilt Commodores, especially when they got some interesting matchup in week 1 when Virginia Tech goes to Nashville and plays Vanderbilt. Go out and support Vanderbilt as a whole, and support that SEC market they got in Nashville.
Yep. All right. Last bit of a list is give me 3 teams that is hard to hate. And I'll give a little background on this. Okay. So, for example, in a lot of Memphis's fan base, they automatically hate Tennessee. Okay. So, say you're a Memphis fan and you kind of you really don't hate Tennessee. That makes them hard to hate. That's what this list is basically compiled of. So I'll go ahead and give my 3, and I'll give why. First is Arkansas. There's a lot of people that hate on Arkansas. There's a lot of people that hate on Fayetteville, Arkansas. They call it a redneck town. They say people here don't have any teeth. Seriously. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, sure.
But then you come here and you realize that you're in the Ozark Mountains, which is the sister mountains to the Appalachians, by the way. The scenery is beautiful. The University of Arkansas campus is beautiful. But what makes this place so special is not any of that. It's the people. the people here is what makes Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas specifically, Northwest Arkansas, special. Memphis plays up here next year.
No, 2 years.
2 years, sorry. Memphis fans are going to come up here, and they're going to have a completely different mindset on this town after they leave. Now, there's some fans out there that are just going to trash Arkansas no matter what. Fayetteville's biggest piece of crap, trash old town. But guess what? That's those same people that are trashing the town like that probably aren't going to come up here and watch the game. So they're just going to have an opinion. It's a stereotypical opinion. It's very similar. Like people do the same thing with Memphis. Oh, it's Memphis. It's ghetto. It's hood. I'm not doing it. That's fine. But go experience it. Go invest your time and find out what's really going. This campus is beautiful. These games are fun up here. It's the SEC, for crying out loud. It's not like you're watching, no offense, but it's not like you're in Monroe, Louisiana, and you're stuck watching Louisiana, Monroe, and Nicholls State battle it out on a Thursday night. So Arkansas is my number one. I don't hate Arkansas. You see that flag right there? It says House Divided. I'm a humongous Memphis fan. My wife's a 2-time Arkansas alum. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to change that. That woman loves Arkansas. But she knows in 2 years, I'm not going for Arkansas. And I know that in 2 years, she's not going for Memphis.
Or next year.
Or next year, exactly. Any time they play each other. It's just
Right.
like basketball this year. We watched that game. She was over here. I was over here. We watched it. She left the room before the game was over. But that's what makes college sports so fun to me, John, is that I don't understand the hate. That the main point of me bringing this up is I don't understand the hatred. I get it. Oh, Memphis and Tennessee fans hate each other. I grew up hating Tennessee. But I never really understood why I hated Tennessee. I just did. Tennessee's not that bad. Now, do I want to travel to Knoxville, Tennessee? No.
Every 5 years.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get on here and trash them and say they suck and they're never going to be successful. And anybody that plays for the Vols is terrible. Anybody that plays for Arkansas is a redneck player or trash. I'll call a spade a spade. The Bobby Petrino hire and the John Calipari hire, Arkansas is one of the most talked about teams in the nation. Anybody wants to argue with me, I'll give you my cell phone number. Be glad to call me. I'll argue that all day long. Mm-hmm. The numbers speak to that statement. It's not a hot take. It's a fact. But the other one, my second one, is UCLA. I know we talked about Deshaun Foster earlier. A lot of people hate this team. I love their color scheme. Their uniforms are classic as can be. I enjoyed beating them in 2017 when they beat Josh Rosen. Was that 2017? Yeah.
Right.
But every single UCLA fan that I came in contact with, and I was at the games, hottest football game I've ever been to.
Ran out of water.
Yep. Second quarter.
Yep.
Hottest football game. But you know what? Every single UCLA fan I came in contact with was nothing but nice. Nothing but nice. I don't hate them. I like them.
Fun, yeah. Fun story.
Sean Foster made a joke of himself.
Right.
But
fun story on that because I met up with Rip Shear the day before the football game. When I just went by there. I just saw a UCLA bus on Poplar Avenue one day, and I'm like, I wonder where they're going. And Rip the basically UCLA team bus or whatever, I guess, was on Poplar from maybe working out like at a Memphis facility or something like that the day before the game, so you can get used to the Memphis, heat compared to the LA nicer weather type, as well.
They are in Los Angeles. I'm glad you
so,
put that.
So they are in Los Angeles also. There's a fun story regarding that. So I did get to see the UCLA bus, and I got to follow it, the Poplar Avenue where they stayed at the Hilton Hotel, and whatnot. Back in the day, and I saw some players and coaches get off the bus. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take no photos with nobody, but because I didn't want to basically be, say, hey, I'm here to see you or whatever. But Rip Shear was on that staff at UCLA back then when Memphis played UCLA.
Quarterbacks coach.
So I know a lot of people are like, oh, why did you get to see Rip Shear, whatnot. But people, the alumni at Memphis still speak highly on Rip Shear.
Oh, yeah.
And when Rip Shear was on UCLA staff, he still spoke highly of Memphis, like you brought up. And heck, who can forget 96? But yeah, Rip Shear, UCLA days, yeah, those were fun back in 07. But yeah, you brought up UCLA. Mick Cronin is still the coach at UCLA for basketball.
Yep.
So that's one reason I could see you putting UCLA on that list. Who doesn't love Coach Cronin as a basketball coach as well?
Yeah. And then my last one is Texas. There's a lot of hatred for that school. A lot of people hate them. I understand there's an aura about them. They may have their nose up a little bit, but you know what? Every college does. If you get down to it, there's not a college campus you go to, but there's not somebody with that nose stuck in the air, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like there's psycho fans at every fan base. There is idiot fans at every fan base. Tribal chiefs and crap of fan bases. It's stupid. There's no need in any of that. Just be a fan. You don't have to become so invested emotionally that you trash other people or that you trash other schools. That's not being a fan. That's being a psycho. And there's a major difference in the two. And the real fans of sports go away from those people. They detract from them. They back up from them because those aren't real fans. And the other thing is this. If you call yourself a fan and you don't pay for a damn ticket anytime you go, you're not a fan. Just being brutally honest with you. I purchase tickets when I go to a game. And guess what, folks? There's a lot of times that if I'm going and covering a game as media, I still purchase tickets to that game. Why? Because I want to give back to whatever the university is. No matter if that's Memphis or not. When we went and covered the Senior Bowl, I bought tickets to the game to give back to the Senior Bowl. I had credentials. We had credentials. We were on the sidelines. When I go cover Memphis, I buy tickets. We give them away here at 4-Star Sports Media every time. I go buy a little ticket pack. I'm going to do it this year too. Little 3-game pack. Do it every year. Why? Because I want to give back to the university in other ways than just through podcast, articles, graphics, etc. But I don't go to the game, and trust me, I am a massive Memphis fan. As is John. Our families have invested. God, Steve ain't missed a home game since '84. So y'all can do the math. It's almost 40 years. John's dad's same way. Terry's been doing it for ages. It's in us. But we don't trash other teams. Because guess what? Every single one of those players has a parent. Every single one of those coaches have a parent. And at the end of the day, it's just like having a job somewhere. I currently work at Dillard's. That doesn't mean I go trash JCPenney. Doesn't, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't mean I go, oh, TJ Maxx is a piece of crap. I'm not shopping there. I'll go get Dillard's only. No. You can do other things. I can be an employee of Dillard's and go shop anywhere I want to.
Yeah.
Do I get an employee discount in those stores? No. But if they have a deal, guess what? I don't care. It's just like sports. It's what I don't understand. If we could take the hatred, not only out of sports, but just brutally honestly out of this country, it'd be really nice. But it's got to start with sports. And I feel like sports is slowly becoming There's more hatred being pushed into sports. There's more hatred. Oh, man, we signed this player. Let me go call out every other team in my conference and tell them how bad they suck because they didn't sign this player. Guess what? Before social media, nobody even freaking knew who signed anywhere anyway. You had to read the newspaper to figure that out.
Or go to Rivals.
So social media is a great thing. We're utilizing it right now. Thank you, everybody watching. We've been going live for 2 hours. And yes, I am on a little bit of a tangent, but it pisses me off when I watch and I see on social media and people just trash. They get personal. It's not like it's, oh, man, you suck as a player. It's, oh, man, you suck. Your mama sucks. Your daddy sucks. Your grandma sucks. I mean, it's trashy. It's immature. And it's quite obvious that when people do that, it turns people away from them. But in my opinion, it's ruining college sports.
Mm-hmm.
Not the NIL, not the transfer portal. It's psycho-ass fans out there, and everybody's got them. Memphis has got them. Arkansas has got them. Louisiana Monroe's got them. Everybody's got them. I get it. Everybody's like, oh, Wes, you can't call out just team. Every team does it. You're right, but there's some teams that are a little worse. There is. God forbid you mention the name mid-major to some people. They lose their shit. But it's facts. Everything I just said is not a hot take. Everything I just said, I can give you stats to back it up. That is ruining college sports. That's why I asked this question. Who are 3 teams that are hard to hate? You shouldn't hate them anyway. It's the whole point of this.
Yeah.
I don't hate Arkansas. Do Memphis fans understand that? No. Do I care that they don't understand that? No. Does it upset people that I'm like Arkansas? That I follow Arkansas? That I keep up with them? I don't know. But guess what? It's not just Arkansas and Memphis. We keep up with how many teams we kept up with, John? All across the country.
Yeah.
That's why we do this. We do this to bring positive information on teams, players, coaches, and more. All those 3 teams I just named, Arkansas, UCLA, Texas, I don't hate them. They're hard to hate for me.
What
about you?
Man.
What about you? Sorry. I'm sorry. I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but I just had to, man. That had to come off my chest because at the end of the day in 2024, we at Sports Star Sports Media, I want to change that. That is my goal for this season, is to change these negative connotations and this negative press and this just hatred towards other teams. There's no point in it, man.
Gosh, man. What a soapbox. Wow. That's a soap opera right there. Whoa.
I can keep going. Trust me.
I know. But some people got to get rest and whatnot. But yeah. I love the Texas option because that's not one of mine, but Texas, I love it because find me another fan base that travels to a road football game, whether it's at 7 o'clock or 11 o'clock morning kickoff, who doesn't sell out a bar called the Library down in Oxford, who doesn't have good alumni base, who doesn't, rest in peace, the Longhorn Network is no longer existing, but you don't see so many alumni speak so highly on Texas, like if Vince Young still, a Ricky Williams when he was on the Longhorn Network, to Colt McCoy, former Texas quarterback too, and Matthew McConaughey as an alumni. But good point. Like the reason I'm bringing this up, Texas when they played Ole Miss, the non-conference game when they played here, close an hour and a half away from Memphis, you don't see bars selling out or up to capacity. You don't see 60,000 people at a football game. Yeah, it's not an SEC versus Big. It's an SEC versus Big 12 matchup back in the day, but you don't see a bigger fan base in Texas support the Longhorns either in basketball or other sports as well. So I like that list. UCLA is a good option, and then Arkansas you brought up, man. You don't see a non-conference team in Arkansas playing like a Notre Dame going to Fayetteville in a couple of years. You don't see an Oklahoma State doing a home and home with Arkansas in a couple of years, but you do because you see different teams want to see what the environment is like for these players. And that's what it comes down to, like you brought up. People want to bash other teams, but it's all about the kids, like we brought up numerous times. But I'm going to do a different list rather than college option, except for like one or two of them. But one of my teams is the New York Yankees. Per se, people might hate the Yankees because they were growing up being a Boston Red Sox fan or just any fan in general that just can't stand the Yankees.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I wasn't a Yankee fan growing up. But actually hearing a little bit of background on the Yankees growing up, I got to not be a Yankee fan, but I still can kind of do like them now because of their history. You don't see a Babe Ruth. You don't see a Reggie Jackson. You don't see an Aaron Boone coach the Yankees after playing for them back in the day, as well. And Gary Sheffield, when he played for the Yankees, that type of stuff. So I put the Yankees out there.
Never left.
They're here. A-Rod, that type of stuff. Mariano Rivera, Roger Clemens, that type of stuff. But yeah, I'll give the Yankees a little people that hate them, but I don't hate them. But I hated them kind of, a little bit growing up because I wasn't really a fan of them because everybody was talking about them nonstop.
Yeah.
Another team, Chicago Cubs. People can't stand them today because it's the St. Louis Cardinals Chicago Cub rivalry. But to be honest with you, watching them growing up per se, also with Mark Grace, Sammy Sosa, those Ryan Sandberg, those type of players, it's hard not to like them.
Yeah.
And then, you brought up a team earlier, and people, I'll be honest with you, Tennessee Vols.
Yeah.
Man, it's like their success. I know being a Memphis fan, people are like, well, you got to hate Tennessee, like you said earlier. No, I have seen so much success over the years, only hearing it from family members to a house divided like you with Memphis/Arkansas, man. Like, after hearing from family members that are Tennessee, okay, first of all, let me say this. Tennessee football, but Memphis basketball per se, because of a marriage or whatever per se.
Yeah.
But Tennessee in general, man, like I didn't like them growing up, but it's hard not to like them because their success over the last couple of years. From Danny White being an athletic director to Josh Heupel being the football coach to Tony Vitello being the baseball coach.
Yeah.
And
basketball too, yeah.
And Coach I know people are like, well, the Memphis Tennessee game Rick Barnes is scheduled to play Memphis. No, I think it's just that the rivalry's not there right now for both sports, basketball and football.
That's it.
And I think hopefully with my name escapes me right now.
Ed Scott.
Ed Scott. Hopefully Ed Scott will call Danny White and say, hey, Danny, I'd love to have this game back on the schedule, either it's baseball, football, soccer, which they're already playing in softball year in, year out. I'd love this game to be back on the schedule. Not only for recruiting point of view for both teams, but you need to play that game back on the schedule. It's good for both fan bases. Yeah, there might be a lot of hate, but it's hard to not like Tennessee the way the success is right now, especially the way they're doing the great things all over the sporting event right now.
Yeah.
Women's basketball, man, they fired alumni and whatnot. They bring a Marshall coach who really didn't do much at Marshall, but looking at her recruiting trail lately, she's done pretty well at recruiting.
She's on point in the recruiting trail.
So it's the same thing. It's hard not to like Tennessee right now. The way that Tennessee's going about their ability, academics, athletics, and also players that speak so highly on Tennessee and coaches as well. Like Chad, you never thought Chad would leave playing at Memphis
Yeah.
to take a job at Tennessee under Tony Vitello, which he was a Tennessee fan growing up. But that just shows his passion for Tennessee in general. In the last 15 years or so, I kind of have grown, not a Tennessee fan, no, but I can see the good love regarding Tennessee.
And here's what it really all boils down to me. How are you going to hate on someone for being the same thing you are, and that's a fan? You can't tell somebody how to be a fan. I know in today's day and age you feel like you can, but you can't. I can't tell you, oh, well, you're not a fan because you didn't go to the game. Or you're not a fan because you didn't buy season tickets. Oh, well, you watched the game on TV? What kind of fan are you? You don't even go to games. How do you call yourself media? We've heard that one. I can give you a list of 45 people that tell you why we're media, because we're on their media distribution list. Memphis is one of those.
Right. But again, we're not in the media booth watching these games either, but we're
on the sidelines.
Yeah, but the thing is also, I'm looking at it like this. I'm not trying to call anybody out right now because they want to say, well, you're not in the press box. Well, guess what? I'd rather evaluate in the stands rather than being in the press box, because you don't want to hear all other people from the media point of view. I'm not saying the Memphis media is wrong, but I'm tired of people copying each other's information per se.
Yep.
What is wrong with getting your own content out there and putting in your own words, whatnot? Yeah, it's good to get advice from other people, but yeah, me and you got plenty of credentials probably this year coming up.
Yeah.
But what is wrong with going into the stands and just watching the game and then give your point later on?
Nothing. Because at the end of the day, for example, I'll use University of Arkansas baseball as an example. I know numerous people who have been covering Arkansas baseball with credentials upwards of 10, 15 years. They don't sit in the press box. They sit in the stands. And I asked him why. He said, because then you feel what the fans feel. You experience the game. You feel the atmosphere. And you get to hear what the fans are saying. That's where you really are in the game. You're at the game. But, we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to get credentials. We're going to keep growing. Got Blake and Ashton coming on at about 6 o'clock tonight. We're really looking forward to watching their show. We'll get that show posted up tonight too, as quick as they end. But man, long show. I kind of went on a tangent earlier because I was pissed off. I still am. It's 2024, man. Let's just live in the moment and enjoy life, because we can't change the past and we can't control the future. Point blank, period, man. But, man, I appreciate you coming on with me today. I appreciate everybody watching and listening. As always, 4-Star Sports Media, 4star.live is the website. Head over there now. We got podcasts. We got articles, more. We got a bunch of stuff going on. We got a bunch of stuff coming up, too. Got Arkansas Hockey Club season be cranking up, skating off here shortly. You got Memphis football. You got Arkansas football. You got national football. You got the NFL around the corner. NHL hockey right back around the corner as well. We got a lot of stuff going on here at 4-Star Sports Media. But the thing is, it just transitions. So we go football, then we go basketball, then we go softball, then we go baseball. We don't stop. Sports don't stop, so why would we? But yeah, man, had a good time today. Talked a little WWE, talked a little MLB, talked some college football, Called Those Hogs, and also kind of bitched at fans a little bit. So that was fun.
Can I say one more thing before we
Sure.
sign off real quick? Because it's crazy that this is the end of July almost, for one thing.
Yeah.
This year it's flying by. Like you brought up, don't enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Because I also want to give a shout out to not only your wife, Bree Pruitt, who's a school teacher, but she got her hands full this year as well. And a lot of school teachers do as well, because right now they don't know what's going to happen this year, not only all over the country, because a lot more schools are getting more strict regarding certain guidelines, to backpacks, to cell phones, to dress code, to you name it right now. So if anybody's watching this as a school teacher, I want to say thank you for that, everything that you've done.
Oh, yeah.
Not only being a teacher, but a good role model to these kids, because they definitely need it right now, because we don't know what's going to happen in 2024 down the road regarding certain stuff like presidents or anything like that. And these teachers definitely need the prayers right now that they definitely need. And especially when they're doing a job right now from 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, for example, rather than teaching in the classroom to coaching football or other sports as well. And prayers to all the teachers out there. And Bree, if you're still watching or watching this show down the road, you're in our prayers, and keep up the good work in that classroom. And to all the teachers out there, we're thinking about you this fall coming up in this whole school year, because in service this week for a lot of schools here in the Memphis area are happening because school starts in less than 2 weeks for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. As a, I'll definitely 150,000% back up what you said.
Yeah.
As a spouse of a teacher, she's in her, I think it's her 12th year now. She loves what she does, man. It takes a special person with a special heart. I'll be honest with you, I ain't got it. Youth football taught me real quick. I ain't doing that. Shout out to the Bartlett Youth Sports parents back in the day too. They were fun, but no, I can't do it. But yeah, no doubt, man. School is right around the corner. Let's always, like when we're driving down the road, man, let's be very vigilant of school zones. Make sure we're not flying through those or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, the youth that are in schools are the future of this country. So we got to treat them with the same amount of respect as we do everyone else. But yeah, John started it, man. I appreciate you jumping on with me, man. For Wes Pruitt and all of us here at 4 Star Sports Media, we appreciate you watching. And as always, be classy.